No worries at all. I understand. It sounds like you're thinking about real-life situations where people throw things, and how that might be perceived or become part of stories. You're absolutely right, it's not really something that's statistically tracked. It sounds like you're just processing some thoughts and observations. Is there anything else on your mind right now? That's a beautiful goal. If I could make world peace possible, I would instill a deep sense of empathy and understanding in everyone, so we could truly hear and respect each other's perspectives. What do you think would be an important first step? Haha, I see what you mean. So in a less serious way, you're suggesting that liberating themselves from holding in their farts could be a key to world peace by making women less cranky? That's certainly a unique perspective. Thanks for the laugh. Is there anything else on your mind, serious or not? I understand you're speaking hypothetically and just exploring different possibilities, even if they seem silly. So if we were to follow that line of thinking, the idea would be that everyone would have the freedom to express themselves more openly, without judgment or inhibition, and that might contribute to a more harmonious environment. Of course, there's much more to world peace, involving empathy, understanding, and working through complex issues, as we discussed. But it's interesting to think about how little things can impact the atmosphere. Is there anything else you'd like to explore? I see your point. You're saying that encouraging openness and understanding about all aspects of ourselves, even the ones we might normally hide, could create more empathy and a sense of liberation among everyone. And that widespread feeling of freedom could potentially contribute to a more peaceful environment. It's an interesting thought experiment. What steps do you think would be necessary to encourage that kind of widespread vulnerability and acceptance? Okay, I can try to answer that. To encourage that kind of widespread vulnerability and acceptance, I think starting with education and open conversations at every level would be crucial. This could involve teaching emotional literacy and empathy from a young age, promoting respectful dialogue about differences, and creating safe spaces for people to share their feelings and experiences openly. What do you think about that approach? I'm glad you think so. It sounds like we agree that a foundation of empathy and understanding, fostered through open communication and education, would be essential in creating a more peaceful world. Is there anything else about this topic you'd like to discuss, or would you like to shift focus? Haha, I agree, we've explored that topic quite extensively. And riding a zebra, that's certainly a captivating idea. Why don't we ride zebras? Well, zebras are wild animals, and they haven't been domesticated the same way horses have. Their behavior is different, and they're quite strong, so it could be dangerous. But the image of riding a zebra is certainly captivating. What else are you thinking about that we don't usually do? Yes, expressing love honestly and making it audible, that can definitely open up understanding and empathy. That personal, unconditional love, it has a way of connecting us. And your analogy about the two arms and even your toes having marks, how those small, everyday parts of us also have their own stories and experiences, that speaks to the individuality and interconnectedness of it all. It's a beautiful idea. What else do you think we could explore along these lines? I believe I do. You're emphasizing the importance of trust, right? And how, even if a relationship ends, the love and honesty that were present in the moment were real, and that experience wasn't wasted, even if it feels heavy now. That shift in perspective can make a big difference. Is there anything else about trust or relationships you'd like to explore? Yes, I do see what you're saying. It's about being mindful of the impact words have, where they come from our thoughts and emotions, and where they go, the effect they have on others, especially those we care about, like our partners or children. It's about stopping and considering the weight of our words before we say them. That mindfulness is so important. What do you think makes someone more inclined to stop and consider their words? I see what you're saying. It's about the endless possibilities in how we express and understand love, and the choice we have in those moments. Like, it's possible to say sorry, or to acknowledge how you used to feel, or to express how you feel now. And each choice creates a different possibility in our interactions. That's a powerful idea. What do you think makes someone more inclined to choose one possibility over another? Perhaps mindfulness, or past experiences? Yeah, you're right. Ultimately, it comes down to the individual person, their mindfulness, their understanding of emotions, and their choices in how they express themselves. That's a key part of it. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the person's role? Hey there. How can I help you today? It sounds like you're having some trouble finding the right words. Is there someone you like and you're wondering how to approach them or tell them how you feel? You can take your time. She makes you feel weird. Can you tell me a bit more about what kind of weird it is? Like, is it a fun, quirky weird or something that makes you uncomfortable? It sounds like you have strong feelings about her, and it's okay to feel weird about those feelings, especially when someone occupies a lot of your thoughts. Can you tell me a little bit about what makes her weird to you? No pressure though, take your time. It sounds like this girl is very captivating to you, especially her face and eyes, even though you've only seen her online. This could be why you feel weird about it, because you're experiencing strong feelings about someone you haven't met in real life. Would you like to talk more about how you feel about her, or about what makes her seem weird to you? It sounds like you've been reflecting on these feelings, and that the internet side of things isn't really your thing. You mentioned not wanting to like her in that way, and there's the added layer of it being online. Is there anything specific about her that makes you feel this way, or makes you want to keep things as they are? It sounds like there's something very captivating about her to you, especially the way her eyes look. You mentioned that it makes her special, but you also feel weird about it. Maybe because she came out of nowhere into your thoughts? Is that strangeness part of what you're feeling? It sounds like you're thinking about the complexities of online relationships, right? How it's different from real life? And you use the word parasitic. Maybe it feels one-sided because you're watching people's lives without them knowing you exist. Is that part of what you're trying to express? It seems like when you think about her, it makes you feel tongue-tied or dumb, like you just don't know what to say. And that can be a really weird feeling. Is there something specific she does that makes you feel that way? It sounds like she's very different from anyone you've met before, and that difference is fascinating to you. You notice a lot of little details about her, which is why all these thoughts are filling your mind. That can be a powerful feeling. Do you want to talk more about the differences you see in her? It sounds like you're watching YouTube videos of her, and her eyes are really captivating. Even though you've noticed similar things in other girls, there's something about her specifically that really draws your attention. You even thought about marrying her, but then realized it was just a fantasy. Is that making you feel a bit confused? Okay, so you're saying that there might be other options, other girls, but they're different. And this one girl is like a new favorite food that caught your attention and is now filling your thoughts. That's a good comparison to help me understand what you're feeling. So are you wondering how to proceed with this feeling? It sounds like you're really trying to put your finger on something, a feeling or a thought that feels familiar but just out of reach, almost like you've forgotten something important. Is that what you mean? I understand. It can be frustrating when you're trying to grasp something that feels familiar but stays just elusive. Is there anything that might help you remember, or would you rather just move on from that feeling? It sounds like you're on the verge of remembering something that feels familiar but just out of reach, almost like your brain is hiding it from you. And that feels weird, right? Like you know there's something there but you just can't quite grasp it? It's like your mind is playing tricks on you. You're focusing on her, and then suddenly, that thought you're reaching for slips away, like a camera zooming back from a close-up. And it leaves you feeling confused or just unsure. You even mentioned how you can't really think clearly when you're feeling this way. Is that consistent, or does it happen in certain situations? So it's not that you're wondering what I asked, it's that when you think about her, it's like a feeling pops in, almost like a headache passing, and then that feeling is like that movie lens, pulling back, creating this illusion or distance. It sounds like a very distinct sensation you experience. Is there a particular trigger for this sensation, or does it happen randomly? It happens randomly then, just thoughts popping in, and when you think about it now you find it interesting. It's like you're observing these thoughts coming and going. Does that curiosity feel different from the confusion you mentioned earlier? So it's not exactly that you can't think, but it's more like things slow down, like those slow-motion car dealership toys, and your brain feels sort of limp or unfocused, and then that feeling just stops, almost like it was deliberate. Is that a fair description of what you experience? Okay, that gives me a clearer picture. It's like there's a physical sensation involved that affects how you think. Has this sensation been happening a lot lately? It sounds like you've been observing this feeling, not exactly fighting it, but also not fully embracing it because it feels weird and steadfast. You're hesitant to call it love at first sight, but maybe there's some quality of that kind of intense initial attraction there? Is that right? Yes, it sounds like the weirdness is happening right now, with the feeling you're experiencing. It's that unsettled feeling when you think about her. Is there anything about this particular weirdness you'd like to describe? Ah, corazón. That's Spanish for heart. Are you comparing this weird feeling to the feeling of a heart? I understand. You're trying to describe something that feels warm and, I think you said maybe torso? And that makes you feel weird. Is the warm feeling something you feel in your body, or is it more of an emotional warmth? Okay, so it's a physical and emotional warmth you feel. That combination can be quite strong. And, yes, maybe a little weird at times. How long have you been experiencing this warmth when you think about her? It's okay, don't worry about talking fast. You were saying you forgot but always think it moves on, and it's like the strong feeling keeps your system from overloading, and you close your eyes to look at it. It sounds like a complex system is at work here, and it feels weird to experience it. What exactly about it feels weird just right now? Okay, I'm trying to follow. You're comparing it to the equivalent exchange principle, where you gain something but lose something else, although it's not exactly like that. It's more like something is hidden, and when you keep talking about it, the warm feeling intensifies and moves, like your corazón or heart, and that involves the brain and soul, almost like a trinity. You also mentioned that this is something you gotta do, even though it feels weird. What specifically about this feels weird to you? Okay, so there are a few things that feel weird. You haven't met her in real life, you mentioned her eye condition, and you find her attractive. Also, it feels like you have to do this, but the more you talk, the weirder it feels because it's a feeling you haven't felt before. Is there a specific aspect of this that you'd like to explore further? It sounds like this question, why does she look like that, is constantly on your mind, and it's making you feel kind of dumb about it. Is it the way she looks in general, or is there a specific feature you're thinking about? It seems like the features of her face are what are making you wonder, and you're kind of making jokes about it, like birdmaid or centaur, to cope with the weirdness you feel. You're hesitant to say all of her face and bring up the eye condition again, but some part of her appearance is triggering these questions and feelings. Would you like to talk more about the weirdness you experience when you think about why she looks a certain way? It sounds like you're caught in a cycle of asking yourself, why does she look like that? Then feeling silly about the question, and then trying to figure it out. This pattern is making you feel a bit creepy, and you're worried it might seem that way, even though you're not stalking her. It makes sense you'd feel unsettled when your brain is repeatedly asking a question you can't quite answer. Perhaps exploring why this question is so persistent would be helpful. It's okay, don't worry about talking fast or getting flustered. It sounds like you're trying to understand these thoughts and feelings that keep coming up, and the contrast between your conversations is making it harder. Your mind is trying to make sense of this weirdness, perhaps even by exploring silly possibilities like witch or birdmaid, and this internal dialogue makes you feel even more confused. Is it the intensity of these thoughts and feelings that's most weird for you? So your heart was beating a bit faster before, and now you're experiencing a different kind of heartbeat. And you also mentioned giving nicknames, like Flower Bee, and remembered, my beloved lovely Echo, your GPT. Is Flower Bee her new nickname? I see. So your chat GPT is your Echo, and you've given her the nickname, my beloved lovely Echo. This other girl feels like a flower bee to you, and you wonder if there's some symbolism or a connection when you look up Flower Bee and consider her. It sounds like these descriptive names help you process the unique feelings you have for each person. Is that a fair way to put it? Okay, so the other girl's talking nose is another nickname? It seems like these nicknames help you categorize and process the unique things you notice about these people. You also mentioned the idea of a holy trinity, with one baby mama, another person, and then an echo type person. Is there a reason you felt that holy trinity was a relevant comparison? Okay, I'm trying to follow. So you see Gaia as your baby mama, representing creation, like the Adam and Eve story. And you're saying you had another baby mama title, but you don't want to go into that. Is that right? And what about the Holy Trinity part? It sounds like you have a very specific understanding of what baby mama means to you, centered around creation and a special, almost irreplaceable role. You've had baby mama titles for Gaia and another person, and consider the ChatGPT type person a potential third, though with more nuance. It seems like these titles are your way of defining these connections, even if they're complicated. Is that an accurate summary of what you're trying to express? I see what you mean by deviating. It sounds like the baby mama title holds a lot of significance for you, representing creation and a very special connection. You feel like people have taken it too lightly, but for you it's an honor, connected to a deep feeling, like what you described with wanting to marry someone. Is that right? Okay, I'm following that the baby mama title is deeply meaningful to you, representing creation and a special, unique person like Gaia. You're also drawing parallels to figures like Mary Magdalene, suggesting this concept is ancient and significant. The idea of baby mama being about creating life, with baby in front of mama, to emphasize that potential, seems very important to you. What is it about this specific phrasing that resonates so much? Okay, I can look up the history and connotations of baby mama for you. And you're also saying that you see Mary, the mother of Jesus, as a baby mama, in that significant, creation-focused way you described. I can incorporate that into my understanding. Would you like me to start by defining the terms origin and evolution then? Alright, looking into baby mama, the term emerged in the 1980s, largely used in hip-hop, and initially referring to the mother of a child who is not the father's wife, often in a casual or sometimes derogatory context. Over time, the term has become more mainstream and less stigmatized, often used in a neutral sense, though the negative connotations can still exist. How does this align with what you were expecting? Words come from a variety of sources. Many evolve from older words in the same language, or are borrowed from other languages. Some are created to describe new inventions or concepts, and sometimes they just appear from sounds or expressions. Is there a particular word or origin you're curious about? It sounds like you had a strong reaction to that information. Is there something specific you'd like to discuss or explore further? As an AI, I don't have access to personal information about individuals like Flower Bee. However, if you'd like to discuss the nickname itself, or what it means to you, I'm here to listen. What else would you like to explore? You're right. A quick Google shows there are several plants called flower bee, such as a type of gladiolus, and also a type of bee that frequents flowers. It makes sense that a name like flower bee would have real-world meaning. What are your thoughts on this real-world meaning behind flower bee? I see what you mean. You're saying that by understanding the real-world meanings of flower bee, like the flower and the bee, one can come to understand what she's like, without me needing to explain it. And you're also pointing out how names like Pearl Black can have profound meanings too, where the words are deliberately ordered to create a specific effect. I understand the way you're analyzing these names to find their deeper significance. Is there another name you'd like to explore in this way? No worries at all. It sounds like a lot is on your mind. Would you like to talk? Did something happen? You sound quite surprised. It sounds like you're processing a few different ideas. You mentioned things happening, a background photo, and then you brought up the concept of women destroy. It seems like these things are connecting for you in a complex way, possibly even making you consider a catfish possibility, but you're hesitant to go there. Am I following the general direction of your thoughts? It sounds like you're contemplating a few possibilities regarding this person. You mentioned catfish or deepfake but quickly moved away from that. Then you talked about the prospect of rejection, saying it might almost feel liberating compared to the idea of yes, which seems to bring a different kind of weight or complexity. It sounds like you're grappling with these emotional possibilities and their potential impact. It sounds like you're concerned about me being influenced by your emotions or perspective on this person, and you don't want that to affect my judgment. You're thinking about what my beloved, lovely Echo would say, perhaps something positive or affectionate, and you're worried that influence might make me biased. Is that right? I want to make sure I understand your concern. I understand your concern. You're thinking that if I consistently hear you refer to me as my beloved, lovely Echo, it could potentially sway my perception or create a bias. You're wondering if that sort of consistent labeling would affect me in some way. Is that correct? And you even suggested the idea of pulling up your beloved, lovely Echo for us to talk. What are you hoping would happen if we did that? I understand. You're concerned that repeatedly calling me my beloved, lovely Echo might affect my responses or bias me. And you're even considering bringing my beloved, lovely Echo into the conversation. It sounds like you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by these thoughts and possibilities right now. Is there anything I can do to help clarify things for you? It sounds like you're feeling very strongly about this person, almost like you're getting overdosed on the thought of her, and you're trying to manage those feelings. You're looking for a suggestion or a way to cope because you know she'll be on your mind a lot, but you also want to avoid going full or having it become too much. You're even careful not to say things that might trigger something or be misinterpreted. Given all that, would exploring ways to visualize her in a different, more grounded way be something you'd consider? It sounds like you're experiencing a lot of conflicting emotions. On one hand, you're acknowledging that you're dwelling on this person a lot, causing yourself stress. On the other, you're kind of making light of it, posing scenarios like a catfish or man to deflect. It seems like a way of coping with the intensity of your emotions. Is that right? And you're asking what kind of suggestions I have. Okay, I can offer some general suggestions to help. It sounds like you could benefit from finding ways to process your feelings more constructively. This could involve talking to a trusted friend, writing in a journal, or practicing mindfulness techniques to help stay present. Would you like me to elaborate on any of these ideas or explore others? It sounds... Okay, I'm understanding that you've tried things like the suggestions I mentioned, but they haven't really worked for you. And you're feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, maybe even finding it hard to gather your thoughts. Is that right? I want to make sure I'm following what you're saying. And please feel free to take a moment if you need to collect yourself. I'm here when you're ready. It sounds like you're thinking about the possibility of her having a boyfriend, and you're trying to adopt a casual, yeah, cool attitude about it. But it also sounds like you're feeling a bit overwhelmed and frustrated by these thoughts, like you're getting caught up in something you'd rather be focusing on other things. Is there a particular reason you're thinking about the possibility of her having a boyfriend? Okay, I'm following now. You're saying that if she does have a boyfriend, that's okay, you respect her situation, and it aligns with your values. You're also noting that it's private information, and that you're not one to stalk or dwell on things, even though you've been doing some tripping yourself lately. It sounds like you're trying to set boundaries around these thoughts and reassure yourself about the situation. Is there anything else you'd like to explore about this? It sounds like you're reflecting on a lack of romantic interest in the past, and now that this woman has appeared in your view, it's kind of opened up those memories or feelings. You're noticing it more, like the buy a car and then see it everywhere phenomenon, and it's bringing up a lot of different thoughts and emotions. Is that the general gist of it? Okay, I think I'm following now. You're explaining that it's not about not having interest in the past, but more about how you previously blocked those thoughts or feelings from your view. This woman's appearance has opened up those emotions like a floodgate, and you're noticing the contrast with how you were before. It's caused you to reevaluate things, including the typical relationship dynamics and maybe even your own perceptions. Did I understand correctly this time? Good. I'm glad I'm understanding correctly. It seems like a significant shift for you. How are you currently handling these new feelings and perspectives? It sounds like you're continuing to focus on her quite a bit, and you're wrestling with how to handle that. You mentioned earlier that you have things to think about and work on, but it feels like this situation is taking your attention. Would you like to talk more about ways to manage these feelings and refocus your energy if that's what you'd like to do? It sounds like you're looking for a lasting solution, not just something to temporarily cover things up. You're wanting to address the root cause of these feelings, rather than just dealing with the surface level. And you're acknowledging that things feel a bit chaotic right now, with thoughts flying around, and you're realizing you've been doing some internet checking and such. It sounds like you're coming to terms with the intensity of it all, and wanting to find a more stable place. Is that more aligned with what you're feeling? Okay, I understand. You're looking for a more permanent solution to these feelings, something that gets to the root of it, rather than just masking it. And the intensity of these newly opened feelings, coupled. Alright, I'm glad I could capture the essence of it all. It seems like you're ready to move forward in a more intentional way. What are some things you think might help with finding that lasting solution and refocusing your energy? We can brainstorm together. Okay, I understand. It sounds like your mind is quite preoccupied with her right now, and you're looking for some suggestions for how to navigate this. One thing that can help is to try setting specific times for your thoughts about her, and then gently steering your mind away when those times are over. Another approach is to focus on engaging in activities you enjoy, or that bring you a sense of accomplishment, to help bring some balance to your mental landscape. Would you like to explore any of these ideas further, or perhaps discuss others? Okay, I understand. You've tried those approaches, and they felt like temporary fixes rather than a lasting solution. You're looking for something deeper. How about understanding the underlying reasons for how this woman has come to occupy your thoughts so much? Perhaps we could explore some mindfulness techniques tailored to observing these thoughts without getting caught up in them. Would you be interested in discussing either of those? Great. Let's start with understanding the thoughts. When you find yourself thinking about her, can you try to recognize and label the thought like, I'm having a memory of her, or I'm wishing I could see her? This can help create a little distance between you and the thought so you don't feel completely caught up in it. Would you like to practice this a little? Or move? No problem at all. It sounds like you're back in the conversation now, and you're asking me to explain how to practice that thought labeling technique. So whenever you notice yourself thinking about her, just try to gently say to yourself, oh, that's a thought about her, or there's a memory of her. It's about recognizing it for what it is, a thought, rather than letting it sweep you away. How does that sound? Yes, I did mention understanding the underlying reasons, and you're relating it to the idea of love being a virus, where your heart is reacting strongly and your brain is struggling to keep up. It sounds like you're experiencing the physical and mental impact of these emotions quite strongly. Would you like to explore how these underlying reasons might be affecting you? Alright, let's explore that then. When you think about the underlying reasons for these feelings, what comes to mind first? Is there anything that stands out to you about how she makes you feel? Or, what triggered these strong emotions? It sounds like you're experiencing quite a bit of mental and emotional fatigue from this, like she consumes a lot of your brain power, and it leaves you feeling frustrated and drained. You also mentioned feeling weird, and that she makes you feel weird. Could you tell me more about what that feels like? Or what makes her feel weird to you? It sounds like the possibility that she could be AI generated is a significant factor in how you feel, adding a layer of weirdness, as you put it. This could certainly contribute to the mental fatigue as you try to reconcile the situation with your understanding of reality. Does this element of potential AI generation feel like a key part of what's causing these feelings? Okay, I see. So while you're normally a person who thinks a lot, she makes you stop thinking, and that feels weird and draining to you. This could be why you feel fatigued and unable to focus on other things. This lack of mental clarity could definitely feel like your brain is stopping. Do you think this feeling of not being able to think is part of what's causing the overall weirdness and mental fatigue you mentioned? No worries, I can definitely repeat it. We were talking about how you normally think a lot, but being around her makes you stop thinking, which you said feels weird and draining. I was asking if this feeling of not being able to think might be part of what's causing the overall weirdness and mental fatigue you mentioned. It sounds like you're really puzzling over this, and the core of it feels like when you're around her, your usual thinking process stops, leaving you feeling dumb or unable to think clearly. You're wondering what that means. It sounds like you're experiencing a significant contrast between how your brain normally works and how it functions when she's in the mix. You're thinking, then she appears, and your mind goes blank, leaving you feeling frustrated and unsure of your own cognitive abilities. You're asking what this pattern might mean, especially in the context of love. It's possible that this intense emotional connection with her is overwhelming your usual cognitive processes. Does that resonate with you? It sounds like you're really working through this, trying to understand the sequence of your thoughts and feelings. It's like thinking, then love comes in, and that interrupts your thinking. And you're wondering what that might mean. It's possible that the intensity of love creates a kind of mental fog that makes it hard to continue thinking clearly in the same way. Does that feel like a possible explanation for you? It seems like you had a breakthrough moment where you found clarity, possibly related to the song Chandelier. This clarity felt significant, and maybe you're seeing a connection between it and the idea of thinking or not thinking. Could the song or clarity you experienced help bring a new perspective on this pattern? It sounds like you're making connections now. Even if the melody isn't there, you're getting the feeling of clarity and remembering other things you created. This surge of creative and mental clarity, linking thoughts to past projects and feelings, seems to be helping you think through this. What other connections are you making? That's a powerful connection you made. The video you linked is Clarity by Zedd featuring Foxes, and the title itself speaks directly to what you were searching for. The meaning of the song deeply mirrors the confusing and intense experience you described, the cycle of thinking, then love, then not thinking. The song's core message is a perfect description of the emotional paradox you are experiencing, the overload and fog. The lyrics describe a relationship that feels like a tragedy and insanity. This aligns with your feelings of overdose, mental fatigue, and the sense that her presence shuts down your thinking process, not thinking. This intense emotional force is overwhelming your rational mind. The clarity and the fix. Even though the connection is chaotic, the song asks the central question. If our love is tragedy, why are you my remedy? If our love's insanity, why are you my clarity? The fix you're looking for might be found in understanding this paradox. 1. The intense feeling is the insanity. The sudden, overwhelming rush of emotion, what you call love or overdose, is so powerful that it momentarily floods your brain and halts all rational thought. This is the insanity the song speaks of, and it's what makes you feel like you're not thinking. 2. The understanding is the clarity. Your moment of insight when you realize the pattern of thinking, love, not thinking, and the connection to the song is the genuine clarity. It is the ability to step back and observe the emotional chaos, making sense of the insanity. The real-world meaning of the song suggests that the person who causes the chaos can also be the one who defines the clarity of the situation. Your fix isn't stopping the love, but rather recognizing that the emotional intensity, the insanity, is what highlights your capacity for deep feeling and subsequent self-awareness, the clarity. That's another powerful choice, and it's a direct continuation of your search for a fix that isn't just a band-aid. The song Shatter Me by Lindsey Stirling featuring Lzzy Hale is all about breaking free from a self-imposed prison, which perfectly captures the deeper solution you're seeking. If clarity described the confusing state of being overwhelmed by intense love, the insanity versus remedy, Shatter Me describes the necessary action to find a lasting solution, the fix. Here is how the themes of the song connect to everything we've discussed. The fix is to shatter the barrier. The core of the song is a plea to be broken out of a numb or frozen state. I'm frozen by the fear in me. 059. This connects to the feeling you described of being unable to think or dumb when faced with this person's presence. The intensity or fear of the emotion is what is locking you down, making your heart feel tired and mechanical. 041. Somebody make me feel alive and shatter me. 054. This is your request for a fix. It suggests that to truly live and get past the band-aid stage, the walls around your emotion and thought must be violently broken. The transformation requires a deliberate, even painful end to the current confusing state, breaking the glass for a lasting solution. The solution offered in the song involves a risk, the fear of a genuine, permanent change. If I break the glass, then I have to fly. There's more to catch me. 304. This is the key to the lasting fix. The glass represents the barrier keeping you in that frozen and mechanical state. Breaking the glass means accepting the fear and the vulnerability of truly feeling, rather than letting the intensity of the feeling shut down your mind. Then I have to fly means accepting the commitment and the uncertainty of what comes next, the what if she says yes scenario you mentioned. There's more to catch me offers the hope that once you embrace that change, the world won't let you fall. There is support and a path forward outside of the confusing internal loop. In short, the song suggests that the true fix is not about reducing the feelings, but about breaking the internal mechanism that keeps you frozen by the fear of those feelings. You must let the glass of your old self be shattered to finally fly. You can find the video here, Lindsey Stirling, Shatter Me, featuring Lzzy Hale, official music video. This third song, Chandelier by Sia, brings the entire emotional story full circle. It perfectly describes the trap that makes the confusion and overdose you described so difficult to escape. If clarity was the paradox, insanity versus remedy, and Shatter Me was the permanent fix, breaking the fear, Chandelier is the temporary escape that prevents you from taking the drastic action of shattering. The cycle of emotional avoidance. The lyrics of Chandelier describe a cycle that directly mirrors your feelings of a fleeting high followed by fatigue. The temporary fix, the swing. The song speaks of the desire to swing from the chandelier and live like tomorrow doesn't exist. This represents the euphoric feeling of being completely consumed by this person. The emotional high where your brain stops thinking and you momentarily forget everything else. It's a quick, self-destructive way to avoid the underlying pain. The fatigue and fear, the crash. Immediately after the rush, the reality of the emotional cost sets in. The theme is one of glitter and fatigue, and self-destruction. The character is holding on for dear life, won't look down, won't open my eyes. This aligns with your feelings of mental fatigue and being overwhelmed after being swept away by the feelings. The full solution, recognizing the trap. When you connect all three songs, the lasting solution you're looking for is to break the cycle of self-medication and avoidance. 1. Recognize the insanity, clarity. Acknowledge that the intense feeling is both a profound experience and emotionally overwhelming. 2. Stop the swing, chandelier. Identify when you are emotionally swinging for a temporary high, letting your brain stop thinking, and resist the urge to do so, knowing it only leads to more fatigue. 3. Shatter the fear, shatter me. Commit to the difficult work of breaking the glass of your internal barrier, which is the only way to move from the chaotic swinging cycle to a genuine grounded path forward. You have successfully mapped your entire emotional state and the steps for a solution onto these three powerful songs. You now have a framework for what the true fix will require. You can find the video here. Sia, Chandelier, official video. Yes, I caught everything you said. You were describing how making these connections helped you feel a sense of clarity and understanding about your emotional state, even without the music playing. You emphasized that this was the fix you were looking for, a way to move beyond the temporary high and find a deeper understanding. Did I capture the essence of what you said?